Welcome to Happy Hour with Steve Guy. I am your host, Steve Guy. An amazing show for you this week, as always. This week I get to sit down and have a great conversation with the founder of the website, theunsealed.com, Lauren Brill. Plus, later on in the show, a musical performance from the very talented Sonal Aggarwal. And before all of that, here are the things that people are talking about at their happy hours across the country. Earlier this week on Instagram, Khloe Kardashian posted a picture that left many of her fans stunned because she didn't look as they expected her to, leaving many to wonder if she had had cosmetic work done, which then led to many more wondering why anybody was still stunned that rich celebrities actually have work done. Last Sunday, many watched on television as golfer Tiger Woods teamed up with Peyton Manning to take on fellow golfer Phil Mickelson and quarterback Tom Brady. At one point during the broadcast, Tom Brady bent over and actually split his pants. So finally, men over 40 across America were delighted that they could actually relate to Tom Brady. Those are just some of the things that people are talking about at happy hour across the country. We've got so much more to get to, but right now, it's time for our resident know-it-all. This is DidjaKnow with Craigory Todd. Hey, Craig, it's good to see you again, buddy.
Steven. I've been keeping myself busy, I'm trying to adopt new hobbies.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, I've recently gotten into leashless dog watching. It's, a lesser known hobby, but it's out there. There's probably a good handful of us in the Cleveland area. I really, it's just great to get out into nature. I mean, the doodles are out right now. It's that magical time of year where you can hear the shrill call of Cooper, no! It's been scientifically proven to reduce stress and to induce a sense of calm. If you're white, if you're not, really more of a risk of police activity, arrest, or death. So make sure you consult your physician and find out if leashless dog watching is safe for you.
Greg, I'm not sure if you're serious or trying to make a joke. You know that's not what happened, right? This guy, he was bird watching, and then a white lady had a leashless dog, and she was calling the cops, saying that she was being threatened.
I don't know anything about that. I know the story turned sour as soon as he said white lady. And then I knew there was some trouble brewing. But this is just a fun new hobby that I've discovered. Dogs off leash, running around. The other day I saw a puggle, which, not that common in this area, but it was really exciting, the plumage.
So you have no idea what I'm talking about?
No clue whatsoever. Bird watching, obviously, much more common than the leashless dog watching. We actually have dangerous birds in our neighborhood, the most dangerous bird of which being my wife.
How many beers have you? How many beers have you had?
I've had one for each day of the week. It's a blonde ale. Interesting fact: blonde ales were named after Jenna Jameson.
I don't think that's true.
I ran out of alcohol last week, and I decided that I just drank a lot of bitters.
There is some alcohol in there, yeah.
44.7% to be exact. Product of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad also known for three fathers, a trinity of dads who formed the island.
Craig, Trinidad is Spanish for Trinity. That's literally what it means. Just Trinity.
No, I've seen The Matrix with Spanish subtitles on, and I'm pretty sure that doesn't track. But hey, some people like to just spout off at the mouth, and others like to work with facts and reality. But I'm not going to say who's who in this situation.
Well, you know what, Craig? I think it's probably about that time. As your bartender, sure. I know you got to get back to your wife. She probably needs your help with the kids. I know how this goes.
Don't worry about the wife. She'll be occupied for a while. I threw some ground chuck into the bedroom, so that'll keep her busy for a little while.
What does that even mean?
She eats raw meat like a wild animal.
All right. The Craigory Todd really is something else. But hey, now it's time for our conversation this week. I got to sit down with the founder of the Unsealed.com, shedding light on a lot of social issues and so many other things. She's a former sportscaster as well. This is my conversation with Lauren Brill.
Ms. Lauren Brill, welcome to Happy Hour.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So,
happy to have a happy hour.
You are now living in Miami, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, for those who have followed your career, you were a sportscaster in Buffalo as well as here in Cleveland. And then, as everyone likes to say, you took your talents to South Beach, which is fine because you're doing some incredible things with it. But before that, I feel like you've always kind of been a big city lady, I guess, for lack of better terms.
Before that, I was in New York. I actually was a writer for. At first, right before Buffalo. I was working for MSG Varsity, a high school sports network, and then before that, I was a writer for NBA.com. And then I went to school in New York too. So I was in New York for quite a while, from 17 until 25. I lived in New York. Living the dream. Yeah, so I am a big city girl.
I feel like your happy hour drink of choice is maybe something a little bit more sophisticated. Like you're not going to be a shot and beer girl, I'm guessing.
So I don't drink really. My happy hour is like water and like orange juice. I actually used to mix orange juice and cranberry juice, so people just assume I was drinking and leave me alone.
That
is like, another one, please. And people be like, slow down, slow down.
That's so perfect. So I worked for a vodka company years ago, and part of my job would have to be at bars and buy people bottles and doing bottles, as they get bottle service and everything.
Yeah.
And I obviously had to be there all night. I wasn't going to be drunk, but you have to look like you're drinking.
Yeah.
So I would do very similar. I would go like ginger ale and cranberry juice or soda water and cranberry juice. So it looked like it was bubbly, but there was maybe something. Yeah, nobody knew.
Another thing when people would buy me shots and instead of being like, I don't drink and going through this whole song and dance, I'm just like, okay. And I would buy them and I would either toss them over my shoulder or toss them to the side. And a few times I'd toss them on somebody and then I'm like, my bad.
Now, you did happen to be in Cleveland during one of the most monumental times.
Yeah. Yep.
What was that experience like being a sportscaster where, the Cavs end the drought? It's been 50 years.
Yeah.
And here's Lauren Brill. And
it was special. It was special. The energy in the arena was special, but also the energy in the city. Just people being really kind, everyone interacting. Everyone was just in a good mood and happy. And I just, to see the whole city and the whole region really come together and celebrate and cheer on the Cavs together was, from a human perspective, really, really special and really, really inspiring. The game itself was incredible. They came back from a 3-1 deficit, the series. And even that game 7 was incredible. But just the city and the people and the camaraderie. And I think Cleveland is a very loyal city in general, even without the championship. People are kind to each other and people stick up for each other and help each other out. But this was on a whole nother level. And it was just so cool to see just the whole region kind of congregate around the series and congregate around the Cavs, and then to see the Cavs win it in the way that they did by fighting and digging and playing with so much heart. So you have this incredible energy and incredible team that is pulling for each other and working for each other on the court. And then you have everyone in the city just rallying around them and rallying for each other in such an incredible way. I think it was really magical.
Let's talk about what you are doing now with this website, the Unsealed.com. I just think that it's an amazing thing. And really, to me, knowing a little bit of your background, having seen you on Cleveland, I always felt like even though sports is kind of a funner, fluffier thing to cover, you always did a great job of finding these really human pieces and human sides of it. So as someone who has seen that, it's kind of no surprise to see you in this role. But I guess in your words, how did that come about? Was it something that as you were doing the sports journalist stuff, was it, I really like this more serious side, or was it more of your own story that kind of led you down this path, or a combination?
Yeah, I think life is funny. I think life takes you to unexpected places. And I think I always wanted to be a sportscaster. That was my childhood dream. But as we get older, our dreams change and who we are changes. And I think I needed to accomplish that goal of becoming a sportscaster to make my 8-year-old self happy. And I did. And then once I was there, it kind of something that started in college. I became really passionate about social issues. And I always had this idea that I would take social issues and talk about social issues through sports. And I also really, what I liked about sports, even as a kid, was the humanity in it and the human spirit, and to see people overcome adversity and fight and win. And that's where all those human interest stories came from, is loving those stories and loving seeing people overcome and achieve greatness because of what's in their heart. So I love showing that, but I also had this itch about social justice and social issues. But I just felt like I still had more that I wanted to do with that. I wanted to be an advocate. I mean, you're a journalist, especially at a news station. You're not an advocate. You're a journalist. You're neutral. I wasn't neutral.
Sure.
I wanted to advocate for equality. I wanted to advocate for social justice, unity, and I wanted to talk about all these issues even more. And I still love sports, and I still tell a lot of sports stories on the Unsealed. But then I did how it started is Sheryl Sandberg, the COO, I think it's the COO of Facebook. She's wrote the book Lean In, a very famous feminist. She and I had a mutual friend. They connected us, and she had asked me to tell my story because my friend knew my story on her website. I was sexually assaulted by 2 strangers when I was 16 years old. I was drugged at a party, and so she asked me to share my story, and I was like, Sheryl Sandberg, but my parents knew and my friends knew, and I was open about it, but not like super open. And I never really even told the details to my dad because I thought it would hurt him too much. So here I am like, okay, she wants me to put this like out there. And I didn't want to hurt my parents in doing so, because obviously it's a painful subject for them. So I talked it over with them, and then Sheryl Sandberg's site had a lot of parameters. They had a ghostwriter, and I was like, I was like, I'm gonna write this myself. But they ended up letting me write it, but they edited it to their style, and then they cut it down to their length, and like it was fine. But I was like, if I'm gonna really do this, I want to say what I want to say. So like a day before her story came out, I decided I would write my own first. So I asked my boss if I could do it in Cleveland, and he said, okay, he approved it. And I decided, I'm just trying to write this piece, and I'm like, how do I write this? And it's so personal, and like, and I'm not an emotional person, and I'm not a like, woe was me, like this is what happened. It's just not my personality. So I'm like, how can I get this out of me and talk about this in a way that gets me to say something substantial? And I realized why I was writing it. I was writing it for other women, and I realized why I wanted to talk about it, because I knew there were other women out there. So I ended up writing an open letter to sexual assault survivors about my story and telling them how I was still able to achieve all the things I wanted to achieve. I was still able to be happy and become a sportscaster and go to the school I wanted to go to. And the more outspoken I became about what happened to me, the better I felt and the more I healed. And I wanted to share my story with them, to give them strength, to give them power, to give them inspiration, and also to tell them, like, this can happen to anyone. Like the girl you see smiling on TV, like she's got a past. Because I think, you see, especially people on TV and people in the public eye, they put on this like perfect image, which, I guess it's part of the deal. Like you're supposed to put on an image, but we all got can I curse?
Yeah.
We all got our shit. We all got it. We all have things that we've been through and challenges and adversity. And I think it's important that people see that too. So I wrote this letter, and it went viral across the country, and people, men, women, parents, all are writing me like, this happened to my child. This happened to me. This happened to my sister. The men are telling me it happened to them. And it was just so powerful to see the response, and it was so empowering for me to just kind of like put it all out there. And I was like, there's something here. Then I did a couple more open letters, not open letters, but stories in first person, one about wearing my hair curly. And every time I seemed to write in first person, it seemed to get a lot of attention, and things were going viral. And I was like, what if I could lend my writing skills to other people so I can get their voices out there and get their stories? And I'm always going to be a white female. Like I'm going to move my life through my life as a white female. And because of that, I'm only going to see that perspective in a lot of situations. When I get pulled over, I'm going to get pulled over as a white female, and that's going to create a certain interaction. It's just it's life. We react to the way what we see, and so I wanted to get other perspectives. What is it like for someone else to experience different situations and really shed light on those issues? So I started this website called The Unsealed, and we tell stories in the form of open letters, and I ghostwrite the letters, and we talk about racism, we talk about sexism, we talk about LGBTQ, and it's in the voices of other people, and I interview them, and they get to approve their letters before we publish them. And we've done one, like the recent one that went viral was Dear White Mothers.
Yeah, that was one I really wanted to ask you about.
Yeah,
because,
it was Dear White Mothers, this is how you can help keep my son safe.
Yeah, Angela Dennis. Do I have that right?
Yes, and her son is Malik Hooker, who played at Ohio State. She has another son, Marcus Hooker, who's at Ohio State now, and Malik plays for the Colts, who's a first-round draft pick. Angela's amazing. I mean, it was all her words, all her thoughts, and I just put them together for her, and I just organized them and helped her express them. And my mom worries about me all the time. My mom's like, where are you? Where are you at? Da, da, da.
Of course.
And I asked her, like, is the worry, as a mother of Black sons, she has 3 Black sons, is the worry even more because of what we've seen of Black men getting shot while jogging, while eating ice cream in their house, in these innocent situations? They're getting killed. And how is that as a mother? And so she's like, yes, I want to do this, and I want to share this story. And she said, let's write a plea to white mothers. And she said, it's not anger, it's not hateful, it's just help. Like, help me out here. One mother to another, one parent to parent. And I read the story to my mom before I posted it, and I was like, what do you think? And she paused after. And I read her almost every story first. And this was the first one I could feel it on the phone that it hit her. As a mother, it hit her like we got to do something about this. Like, she felt for her. And I think it broke down a barrier, even though some people were like, well, why white mothers? And the reason was because there's a different experience, right? It's not an insult to be white. It's not an insult to be Black. It's just a Black mother's experience is different than a white mother's experience. And she was explaining that and then asking for help so that it doesn't have to be different. So that someday a Black mom's worry can be the same as a white mom's worries. And so it was really powerful. And we tell those perspectives. And that's a perspective I couldn't have.
The other article I have to ask about or talk about, because of course it has a Cleveland tie to it, is the Hugh Jackson letter. And there was a little bit shown when the Browns were on HBO's Hard Knocks of everything that Hugh was going through that season, losing his brother, losing his mother. But this letter on theunsealed.com goes even more into more depth. And what you're doing is you're reminding people that there's that human aspect to things, right? And no better, I think, is that shown than this Hugh Jackson letter, because he goes back to 2016, his mother's suffering from dementia. And, I have family members who have suffered through that. That's, as the family member, especially like a son who it's been documented how close he was with his mother. He even talks about it here. That's a very hard thing to deal with. And while I know that the Browns weren't very good, it's like when you put things into perspective, the task that he was given becomes even more difficult, I think.
He really opened up in that letter. And I mean, his mom was the person who believed in him. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard to go through all that dealing with her illness, then losing her. I think he just showed that he is human, and he's also just a guy who misses his mom and wanted to make her proud. I think most of us want to make our parents proud. And he basically told her in this letter, I'm not giving up. And while the rest of the world has their opinions and the rest of the world, I mean, when you're in that position, you're getting it from everywhere. I mean, people are really critical, and that's hard and weighs down on you. And he's basically saying in this letter to his mom, you believed in me, and I'll never forget that, and I'll hold that with me.
A head coaching job is hard enough, and you just add all of those other things. The one thing that hit me, when they stop remembering who you are, is so difficult. And this is his mother, and this is someone who probably he would call and talk to during the week or after a game when it went poorly or it went well. And it's to not even be able to do that. I think that people lose sight of how much that really impacts your everyday, because it doesn't, even if you put it to the back of your mind, it's not out of your mind,
and for him, I think that was the person that really encouraged him and pushed him through life. So she was a source of strength for him, and to not have that avenue when going through something difficult, I think it's it's hard. I encourage Clevelanders also. I did one with Terry Francona, and he talks about when he was a little boy, he was able to go on a 10-day road trip with his dad. And that was the first road trip he went. And it kind of set the tone for a lot of his career in terms of his mentality. And it's really interesting from his perspective. And I recommend that one too.
Yeah,
I recommend all of them, but that one I think Clevelanders would appreciate.
Well, we'll get you out of here on some fun stuff.
All right, what you got?
ESPN aired The Last Dance, the whole documentary following the 97-98 Bulls. And your family happens to be very close to Ron Harper, who was on that team.
Yeah, I call him Uncle Ron. It started because I would post pictures with him and people would be like, is that your boyfriend? I'm like, it's my uncle, okay?
What was your take in watching that? Did you have fun watching? I know he's not in it quite as much, but
yeah, no, it was
still cool to see, right?
And I had talked to Ron about life and working and Michael Jordan several times. And I remember one time I was struggling with something in work, and he said, just keep working. And every time I was like, but this or that, every time I had an excuse, it was just keep working, just keep working, just keep working. And it was this mentality of no matter what your challenge is, the way to solve the problem is to keep working. And I saw that mentality kind of translated in the documentary and in Jordan's mentality. And so I kind of understood why he said that then, because that's what he was taught when he was going through everything with the Bulls, when the Bulls were in the championship. All you got to do is keep working. And it sounds like such simple advice, but when you have challenges and hurdles in life, it's hard to stay focused and continue to work. But that's the recipe for success, is just through every adversity, don't use it as an excuse. Just keep working. Work. That's like, all right.
Well, on that note, Lauren Brill, as you continue to work, what's next in the coming weeks and months? What can people expect to see from you?
Actually, I have a story coming out this week that's perfect with that. You mentioned The Last Dance. Phil Handy, he was a assistant coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now he's with the Lakers, and he personally trains Kyrie and LeBron, and he trained Kobe. And he's actually writing a letter to his mom and dad, who he lost both of them, just telling them, like, hey, you missed the best of my career. Here's what happened. And he credits them for his success and his work ethic. And then also we're really trying to develop this new show called Unsealed Conversations, where everyone can come on and talk to my interviews live. So I'll interview them, they get to interview them too, and then we're going to make a show out of it. So we've done a couple of them where I've just done them, but I haven't edited them and turned them into a show, but we're actually turning them into a show. So I'm excited about that. And also we're getting just underway Unsealed Thoughts, which is commentary from me and my opinions. So keep an eye out for that. And if anyone wants to help me change the world, they can subscribe on the Unsealed. They can message me and I'll let them know exactly how to do it, or go to www.theunsealed.com and it says become a subscriber. You can subscribe there.
Very awesome. Those conversations, are those taking place through the website or through social media?
So I'm doing them on Zoom. I'm trying to figure out if there's a better platform. If anyone knows one, they can tell me. But I've been doing them on Zoom because Zoom lets everyone's face appear, and that's how I've been doing it now. But I'm sure there's a better way to do it.
Well, when you find it, you let everybody know.
I will.
Sure you will. Lauren Brill, thanks so much for dropping by Happy Hour.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Hopefully many of you got just as much out of that conversation with Lauren as I did. If you want to listen to the full uncut conversation, because there's so much more, check out the Happy Hour with Steve Guy podcast, available now on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. Now I want to shift gears. I have an incredibly talented friend. She does stand-up comedy, but she's talented in so many other realms. And this week, I asked her for a musical performance. If you have kids, she does this incredible thing via Zoom. If you check out the link in her bio on Instagram at Sonal Media, on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, she does a half an hour called Anti-Sonal Sessions. With her rendition on the ukulele of Robin's Dancing on My Own, this is Sonal Aggarwal.
Somebody said you got a new friend. Does she love you better than I can? a big black sky over my town. I know where you're at, I bet she's around. Yeah, I know it's stupid, I just gotta see it for myself. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, oh. I'm right over here, why can't you see me? Oh, 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 oh. Giving it my all, but I'm not the girl you're taking home. I keep dancing on my own. I'm just gonna dance all night. I'm all messed up, I'm so out of line. Stilettos and broken bottles, I'm spinning around in circles. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, oh. I'm right over here, why can't you see me? Oh, 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 oh. I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the girl you're taking home. I keep dancing on my own. So far away, but still so near. The lights go on, the music dies. But you don't see me standing here, I just came to say goodbye. Oh, let's go. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, oh. I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the girl you're taking home. I keep dancing on my own, dancing on my own.
Very awesome performance there from Sonal. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. She wanted to make sure she conveyed the message through that song of dancing on your own, dancing at home, so that we are still staying safe and staying at home during this time if we don't need to go anywhere. And of course, once again, that's at Sonal Media on Instagram and Twitter. Check it out, especially if you have kids, on Tuesdays, the Anti-Sonal Sessions. It's now time for a tip from the bartender as we wind things down. And this week, somebody actually shot an email anonymously to me, and a little bit more serious note based upon the happenings that have been going on here across the country this week. Dear Steve, I'm sending anonymously because I know this will sound ignorant and dumb to many. I saw your tweet earlier in the week in response to George Floyd, and my question as a white person, I want to speak up on social media, but I have friends and family that are police and black friends. How can I post, or what can I, without making either mad? I don't want to alienate anyone or for them to think I don't support them. So let me start off by being a little bit funny here. You can support black people and police at the same time. That's okay. Nobody's saying that you should support one or the other. In fact, you should support both. And also, there are black police officers. That is a thing. On a more serious note, and one of the things I've been trying to tell people to do all week is start to normalize the good things that people are doing. Through your social media, support your black friends, your law enforcement friends, your white friends, your Asian friends. It doesn't matter. Support your friends. Showcase all the good that they're doing. Let's start to normalize every single good thing about all the people in our lives. Suddenly, we go from people who are arguing that Black Lives Matter shouldn't be a thing, it should be all lives matter. But where have those people been, right? The moment something happens with law enforcement, those are the folks, and this is similar to the tweet that I put out this week, but those are the folks who are saying, blue lives matter. Cops, not all cops are bad. So we've suddenly gone from all lives matter to not all cops are bad, instead of saying all people are generally good. Where is that? That's the best that I can give you. I don't have the same experience as black people do. I have friends, I can only convey what I've heard through their experiences or witnessed them experiencing. But at the end of the day, the more we can normalize how good all people are that we know, then the more that becomes part of our society. which is something that we desperately need to do. So that's it. That's your tip from the bartender this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Thanks for swinging by. Happy Hour with Steve Guy.